Dean! Hey guys, didn't expect to run into you. Yeah, crazy coincidence, huh? This happens all the time, Elliot. Are you heading back to the dormitory too? That was the idea. Why don't we all head back together then? It is nice seeing the flowers as they start to bloom. Yeah, I know you said earlier they'd be in full bloom in a week, but I am thinking it will be closer to the end of the month, personally. Just in time for the welcoming ceremony. The new students will be able to begin their academic lives here surrounded by lino flowers, just as we did. How wonderful. You have all known each other since your first day here, right? That is right. Nobody else started partway through the year like you did. But back then, I never could have imagined we would get along this well. We got off to kind of a rocky start. You're telling me, especially Machias and Uses. For what it is worth, I do regret the way I behaved back then. It is not exactly something I am terribly proud of. Oh, think nothing of it. Immaturity makes fools of even the best of us at times. Thanks, hold on. What is with that expression? You weren't exactly standing on the moral high ground either. I wouldn't have had as much of a reason to behave the way I did if you hadn't kept looking down your nose at me. Did you not hear me say the best of us? It was hell on all of us at the time, but it is all just a fond memory now. I suppose the same could be said about you and Rin's little incident at the start of the year, couldn't it? Just had to bring that up, didn't you? I should have seen this coming. Oh, little incidents are my favorite. Tell me. Well, don't you dare. She's the last person who needs to know. Seriously, she's the last person that doesn't know. Our first day was really full of surprises. Yeah, I can't imagine too many teachers welcome their students by dropping them through a hole in the floor. That is just a set away. Even without having to fight a gargoyle on the way out, that is a pretty memorable start to our school year. The gargoyle proved to be quite the opponent too. When Laura did decapitated by the end, I will say, and when we finally managed to pull together and defeat it, she just casually dropped in like nothing happened. It is like she was lying in wait the whole time, watching and waiting for her chance to strike. That is exactly what she was doing. Still, as exhausting and unusual as it was, that was how our class began. I am pretty sure it is burned into all of our memories at this point. How could it not be? I have no doubt about that. Even so, I am sure it is one of the memories that I will cherish decades in the future. Ah, now you have got me all jealous. Now it is my turn to do something crazy and make some super memorable memories too. Don't you dare. I dread to imagine what she is thinking when she says something crazy. On a hopefully unrelated note, what are we What are we gonna do for dinner tonight? I had only planned out getting something over at Kirsch's, but if anyone has any better ideas. I think it may be a good idea to make something for ourselves. If we divide up the work between us, I'm sure our meal will have quite a bit of variety too. That does sound nice. My cooking skills were in danger of getting rusty too. No objections here. Well, unless anyone has what they need already, I think it is time to split up. We have probably got a lot to buy, so...
That won't be necessary.
Huh?
Sharon?
What reason could you possibly have for being here? The chairman gave me her permission to return to my former position as your dormitory's caretaker. Which means I am here to serve you all once more. There may only be a short time left until the end of the year, but I'll make sure you want for nothing during it. I've already started preparing your evening meal, so there's no need to go out and buy anything.
Oh, well, how about that?
I'm fine with this.
We will gladly accept your offer.
Sharon's cooking's better than whatever grub we could rustle up together anyway.
How do you manage to get permission from Mother in the first place, though? Weren't you helping to rebuild the Rhineford group? I thought the company was getting so many orders in, it was struggling to keep up. Now that Master Gwyn has returned to the company, everything is back in order. He and the chairman have been speeding through one task after another since he got back. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So the former and current chairman make quite a team, I see.
Boy, I'm starving. Wouldn't mind a drink either. With the weather getting warmer, it's just about time for peak beer season. Huh? What are you guys all gathered out here for? Oh, why are you here?
It's a pleasure to see you too, Lady Sarah. I brought a bountiful supply of smoked oysters and sardines if you'd like a snack to accompany your beer. Would you like them alongside your dinner?
Damn it. Yes.
I'm surprised she can just walk around in public like this, you know, considering her affiliation.
I'm guessing there's some sort of agreement in place between Rhineford and the government to leave her alone. Though, even if there weren't, I can't imagine anything would be able to stop Sharon from doing what she wants. Whew, I think I might have eaten too much. It's been so long since we last had Sharon's cooking. She hasn't lost her touch. None of it feels heavy on my stomach at all. Well, that's all my work done for the day. Maybe I should go see how everyone else is doing.
And we can explore the dormitory, finally. And we can talk to everyone. And this is the scenes that I was talking about when we were doing all of the bonding events over at the dormitory. Depending on whom you have chosen, this scene will be different, and I will be just loading the memoirs in the main menu to show everyone's final event over here in the dorm. But before that, come to think of it, I have still got to read the reports on the black records Instructor Thomas gave me. Maybe I should give it a read now before going to bed. And we can read the black records. Let's do that, because it's really important actually. All of the black records in the notebook were updated. Let's go in order, because we have to. In the beginning, there were two great gods, One boasted unrivaled courage, the other unparalleled fortitude. They descended from the heavens with their kin, and it was upon the dark land below that they first met. Calamity, their opposing nature, incompatible, the two were drawn irresistibly into battle, and thus began a struggle that shook heaven and earth. The goddess and spirits' lament were for naught, as the land quaked, the skies were torn asunder, and the god's kin could only tremble in fear. After what seemed like an eternity, their clash came to an end, but it was an end of mutual defeat. Their power spent, the empty shells of the two celestial titans were flung into the furthest reaches of the dark land. All that remained in their wake were terrible, their kin, and the great power. And Celine did always refer to Valimar and the other divine knights as the fragment of the great power, so I guess this is a beginning of all of that. And the second black record, the Dark Dragon. Now we are in the year 371, 200 years after Heimdall was first founded. Ruin rose on monstrous wings from the depths of the earth. Its name was Zero Agruga, the Dark Dragon. Malevolent creature of terrible power, it spread a miasma through the capital that turned Heimdall into a city of the dead. But the horrors did not end there. The evil dragon desecrated the corpses of the fallen, taking control of their bodies and turning them to attack those who remained alive, further increasing the legions of the dead. The emperor at the time, Astorius II, was forced to flee the city with what remained of his household and citizens. Together, they retreated south and established a new capital in the land of Saint Ark. Through 100 years and 6 more emperors, the bane of Heimdall went unchallenged. It was the 7th Hector I who resolved to recapture the city. Time had proved an ally to the beast, however, and the dragon's influence had spread over the surrounding area like a plague. Undaunted, Hector I led an army of brave knights into the necropolis in an attempt to free it, but though their hearts were steadfast, their arrival was met by legions of powerful fiends, and their efforts seemed doomed to end in failure. It was then that Hector I had a fateful encounter with none other than the great Vermilion Knight, Testarossa. The knight recognized Hector I as its master, and bolstered by its immense power and countless weapons, the emperor moved once again into the city and to the decisive encounter with the Dark Dragon. The battle shook the city to its core, and at the end the Vermilion Knight was victorious. The scourge of Heimdall, the Dark Dragon, was defeated. However, the price of victory was steep. The corrupted blood that flowed from the dragon claimed Hector's life and defiled even the knight itself, placing a curse upon it. The noble Testarossa became the great calamity, a demon with 1,000 weapons that only reacts to the blood of the armored family. A destructive force on par with the Dark Dragon that, should control of it ever be lost, would threaten the world and all who lived in it. It was sealed deep underground, never intended to again see the light of day. Meanwhile, a new city rose from the ashes of the old, and people once again began to gather in Heimdall. And that was when the Vermilion capital that endures to this day was first built. And this second chapter mentions Zerua, which we fought in the first game. It was kinda resurrected by Gideon. It's kind of weird seeing back on it, especially since that was probably one of the easiest bosses, but I digress. But I guess back in the day it was really powerful and turned people into the undead. And then Hector I banished it. And this was also the birth of the Vermilion Apocalypse that we fought a few episodes back, and probably destroyed for good. But we still have to read about Draco's. The War of the Lions begins in the year 947. In the year 947, Emperor Valius V passed away. His death heralded the beginning of the largest-scale civil war in Erebonian history. Valius V was a ruler with somewhat debaucherous reputation and is said to have had countless wives and concubines. To further complicate the matters of succession, many of those wives came from prestigious noble families, all of whom began competing for power and wanted their offspring to take the throne. Within the days of Valius V's death, Crown Prince Manfred, the son of his first wife, was assassinated by an unknown party. Following the death of the Crown Prince, the fourth prince and son of the first Emperor Valius' secondary wives, Prince Orthros seized the capital by force. Once in control, he declared himself the new emperor and began purging all of those who dared to oppose him. The coup set off a succession of counterclaims, and 3 other princes also named themselves to be the new emperor. Backed by the powerful nobles of their mothers, the competing princes ignited a bloody 5-year-long civil war, and thus the War of the Lions began. At first, the princes' armies were largely equal in terms of strength. It wasn't until Orthros, who would later become to be known as the False Emperor, revived the being that had long been sealed under the city, that the balance of power shifted. The Testarossa, the legendary Vermilion Knight, now tainted by the blood of Zoroagruga, saw the light of day once more. With its unmatched strength under his control, Orthros decimated his greatest competition in one fell swoop, and Prince Gunnar was defeated. It seemed inevitable that the armies of the other princes would share the same fate, but it was at this pivotal point that the war took yet another surprising and sudden turn. This unexpected development came in the form of another great knight, the Palatinate Knight. The famed champion was acquired by Prince Lucius, the sixth and youngest of the feuding brothers. And with its power he was able to defeat the army of the brilliant strategist and second Prince Albert. Victorious and backed by the knight's power, Prince Lucius was poised to challenge Orthros. Prince Gunnar and Albert's armies, however, were not completely wiped out and decided to join forces with one another in order to oppose the other princes. It was thus that the war became one fought by 3 separate groups: Prince Orthros with the Vermilion Knight, Prince Lucius with the Palatinate Knight, and Prince Gunnar and Albert, who had no knight but compensated with their sheer numbers. The War of the Lions had been raging for 2 years now, and the chaos only worsened by the day. Erebonia seemed to fall into ruins and darkness, fitting perhaps for a nation that takes its name from Erebos. So this is the start of the War of the Lions. It's basically a feud between brothers of succession to the throne, and we learn about Orthros, the false emperor, who was mentioned by Cayenne, who was his descendant, who tried to once again reawaken the Vermilion Knight. And I guess we did learn about one more Divine Knight, the Palatinate Knight. Dracos takes up arms. A young man lazed on a grassy plain, enjoyed a nap in the peaceful setting. Before long, however, his rest was interrupted by the arrival of a second young man on horseback. The youth wore the trappings of a knight, and his expression was deathly serious. His armor bore many rents and scratches, and his left arm was bound in a bloody bandage. The first young man had not seen him in several years, but a cheerful reunion did not seem to be his purpose. "You were right, after all," the second man said gravely. "At this rate, the Empire's days are numbered." At first, the first young man rose from the grass. He was none other than the third prince of the Erebonian Empire, Prince Dracos. As a man with no claim to the throne to his commoner mother, and shunned by the other highborn princes, Dracos had long since left Erebonia behind, wandering from place to place, and whiling away his days. 3 years period had reached the land of Nord, where he had remained ever since. Though left to his own devices since childhood, his nature was noble, and he was quickly accepted by the people of Nord and lived peacefully among them. But while he had left his homeland, he had not truly abandoned it in his heart. During his wanderings, his mother had passed away, but while she lived, she had told him something that would remain with him for the rest of his days. The blood flowing through you will not allow you to turn back on the Empire's suffering. Prince Dracos had turned those words over his head again and again. What could a powerless vagrant like himself truly hope to do? The night's arrival, however, signified two things: that the war continued to worsen, and that Erebonia was on a certain path to ruination. His mother was probably correct. Hearing the knight's words, he decided that enough was enough. He could ignore the pain of his country no longer. That knight, incidentally, was called Roland. He was a childhood friend of Dracos and his confidant. He was also the man who Dracos had left in charge of things in his place before leaving the country. Prince Dracos was set about preparing to depart, but before he could finish he was met by several of the tall knights of Nord. Their cross-shaped spears in hand, they, too, were close friends of Dracos, and they volunteered to accompany him and Roland, fearing that the two men alone would not stand a chance. The next morning, the prince departed the village, a mere 17 men under his command. They bade farewell to the people of the settlement, and its elder wished them well. May the wind and the goddess be with you. He blessed them. Fortune favor you all. And this is basically what we learned in Cold Steel 1 about Dracos. The Black Records does go over it, but it also has the Divine Knights, as you saw earlier. And the final chapter, the war comes to an end. Prince Dracos' opponents were the armies of 4th Prince Orthros and his Vermilion Knight, 6th Prince Lucius with his Palatinate Knight, and the combined forces of the remaining princes, Gunnar and Albert, who had a legion of magical golems under their control. Yet it was he, the legitimate son of a commoner and the latecomer to the war, who emerged triumphant. His victory did not come with losses, however. During his return to Erebonia, Roland fell in battle. Not long after that, however, he met a woman who would change his destiny forever. That woman was none other than the daughter of Count Sandlot, who hailed from the lakeside town of Legram. Her charismatic personality, peerless skill with the lance, earned her the leadership of a band of knights known as the Eisenritter, and the moniker Lance Maiden. Her name was Liane Sandlot. Prince Dracos and Liane Sandlot may have come from widely different backgrounds, but their concern for the innocent victims of the war united them in purpose to bring an end to the bloodshed, and it was those shared feelings that made them join forces. The two of them, along with the warriors of Nord, the Eisenritter, and all of the other people of the nation whose heart they moved, liberated one town after another, and were eventually successful in persuading even Prince Lucius, owner of the Palatinate Knight, to fight for their cause. At the time, however, the false emperor schemed to elevate the cursed Vermilion Knight to even greater power, to godhood, and thus the Vermilion Apocalypse was created. The demonic god emerged in Heimdall alongside a monstrous castle and vanquished the approaching armies of Albert and Gunnar in a single battle. Their end was anything but conventional, however. They were simply erased from existence. Even the Palatinate Knight could not contend with such a foe and was felled, and as it decimated all who challenged the false emperor, countless crimson spirit veins spread out from the castle, stealing the very life from the capital's citizens, as well as those in the surrounding area. Defeat seemed all but inevitable for Prince Dracos and the Lance Maiden and their followers, but they refused to give up. Following the guidance of a kindly witch, they were led to a new great knight, which slumbered on the outskirts of Heimdall. After overcoming a trial, they were able to claim the Ashen Knight and its power, with it in hand, along with their many supporters and the army of Prince Lucius. They marched on the capital for the final time, eventually making their way to the castle at its center. 3 days later, on the 4th of July, year 952, the castle vanished from existence and the city was liberated. And this is just a big parallel of what happened. The Palatinate Knight fell, just like Ro did, and also the Vermilion Apocalypse was awakened by Orthros this time around, and I guess it was created at this time, just like Cayenne said, and also the whole stealing the life force from citizens that also happened. But the big difference is that Dracos didn't obtain Valimar until the Palatinate Knight fell, so I guess he couldn't defeat it by himself, so he had to seal it away. And reading these black records, I can only imagine that the Imperial family would have access to the original, since we did see that Eugene III had some knowledge about it. And also, since Rufus read it, I would imagine that Osborne did as well. And Rin won't comment on it at all. But for now I have a lot of cutscenes to go through, which I won't do here but in the main menu. If we come to the System tab and go into Memoirs, this becomes available after we clear the game. There are a few spoilers here, but whatever, it's not a big deal. We can't even see most of the pictures. We can view all of the movies that we have seen, like the 2 openings and one of the endings. The second one we will see later. The bonding events, which I am here for. We can load the clear data, and this just explains what is happening over here. But let's just go in order with Alice, I guess. We can see the event of the afternoon homeroom that we saw with Laura. I might make a bonus episode about these, but they aren't that interesting. But the dormitory event is pretty good.
Feeling sad about leaving the lacrosse club behind?
Yeah, I was really into it by the end. I think it'll make for some wonderful memories to look back fondly on in the years to come.
I can imagine. Does that mean you're not going to keep up with lacrosse in Ruhr?
I don't think I'll be able to. As far as I'm aware, there aren't any local teams I could join. And even if there were, I doubt I'd have the time for sports. Just thinking about how busy I'll be makes my head spin. No, scratch that. Being busy is all the more reason I need to make time for exercise.
Yeah, good luck with that. Helping out with the Rhineford group sounds like a recipe for one all-nighter after another.
Not just yet, actually. I won't be helping until Grandfather shows me the ropes. As I am now, I doubt I'll be able to do much at all in the way of rebuilding the company. But you can bet I'll leave Mother speechless with how much progress I've made in a year's time.
I'm sure you can if you put your mind to it.
Can't really imagine Irina being speechless, but good luck with that.
And I know Sharon will always be willing to help you out if you need her.
She probably would, but then she'd just tell everything she did to Mother.
Elisa?
I don't really care what happens to the Rhineford group. I don't even want to go back to Ruhr. All I want to do is stay here with you.
Elisa. We've talked about this. The best thing for the two of us now is to go our separate ways. You only get one life, so you've got to make the most of it. You shouldn't feel obligated to give that up for someone else's sake. That's as true for us as it is for the rest of our classmates.
I know. I just hate that it has to be this way. But with half the company's directors now gone, the group is now much weaker than it was before. Everyone's saying we should be making more weapons than ever, but the company is in no position to do something like that. Mother and Grandfather might be skilled, But even they aren't skilled enough to go against the changing times. As their family, I feel like I should be right there supporting them. No, scratch that again. It's not because I feel like I have to. I want to support them.
Then that's what you should do. Don't worry about me. I'll be just fine. Even if we're apart, I'll always be thinking of you. Not a single day will pass where I won't be thinking about that sweet, hardworking girl I fell in love with.
Oh, Reen, that's so sweet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get so worked up. I'm really happy, though.
Me too. Still, let's make the most of our free day tomorrow. It's the last one we'll ever have as a class. The last thing any of us want to do is end it with regrets.
Yeah, you're right. I'll probably spend most of it with the lacrosse club while you're out helping the student council. But I want it to be something we'll always remember.
I guess most of the people who were with the Noble Alliance were fired or just left, so yeah. Rival group is not in the best position at the moment.
Hey, Elliot. Taking care of your violin?
Yeah, it's taken care of me over the past year, so why not return the favor? I'm actually planning on giving a few of them to the academy before I go. Just to make sure next year's first years have something to practice with.
That's really generous, and sure to make a lot of people happy. And you'll finally be heading off to a music academy, just like you always wanted. I bet they'll push you pretty hard over there, too.
I don't doubt it. I'm going to need to be all music all the time if I want to stand a chance at keeping up. Though, to be honest, after all the time I've spent here, I don't really want my life to be completely about music. I love it, obviously, but to be a balanced person, I want to have a bit more variety in my life, like I had here at the academy. For one thing, I don't want to get too rusty with my orbital staff.
Good to hear. I hope everything works out for you.
Thanks. Me too. You know, Reen, I really think I should...
Don't. I know what you're going to say, but don't. I'm happy you've thought about it, but it wouldn't benefit either of us. We've had this discussion more than enough times.
But...
The best thing the two of us can do now is go our own ways. Our paths are laid out ahead of us, and they're diverging. You only get one life, so you should live it for yourself instead of feeling obliged to hold back for someone else. The same holds true for all of our other classmates, too.
Yeah, I guess so. That's why I decided to transfer to begin with. The war's over, but that doesn't mean our difficult times are at an end. And I still want to use the power of music to heal people's hearts, even if it's just a little bit. I hope everything goes well for you here at Thor's in the meantime, though. Even if I am worried that you're going to overwork yourself while I'm away. But since Trista's really close to Heimdall, I'll pop over to check on you as much as I can. Think I'd drive you crazy if I visited once a week?
I don't know if either one of us would have time for that, to be honest. I'm sure we'll be able to keep hanging out with each other, though. I'll try to find chances to visit you in Heimdall, too.
Then it's decided.
You will always be my little buddy, Elliot. And the other characters are currently justifying what they are going to do after leaving the academy. This is why they are cramming all of their studying into their heads, so that they can move on to do something more productive and help out the country in their own ways.
What are you looking at, Laura?
It's you, Reen. I'll show you.
Oh, you and Monica got a picture taken together? You both look so happy in it, too.
That we do. Someone in the photography club kindly offered to take it for us.
I guess it was Rex.
I thought it would make a fine souvenir of my time at the academy to take away with me.
My mirror's on that being Rex. Oh well, it's a nice photo, and he got permission. For once. I never expected you and Monica would get so close. Between her and Fee, you kind of have a knack for becoming the best of friends with the ones you bump heads with first.
Please don't say that. I'm truly grateful to both of them for broadening my horizons. Meeting them enriched my life in ways I could have never pictured before. Truly, coming to this academy was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I didn't realize we'd made such a big impact on you.
Well, you did. And don't mind me, I'm just feeling a little emotional. This isn't like me at all now, is it? There's no harm in a few tears, I suppose. This will be my last time I can relax before my training, after all.
Yeah, you're not gonna get much rest in with the training you've got lined up.
I won't be learning the Arcade School's advanced techniques with training any less intense. I have no idea where we'll be conducting said training, but it will no doubt be as perilous as it will be dangerous.
I had to spend a month in the Isengard range as part of mine. I don't think a month's going to cut it with what you're doing, though. It goes way beyond your average techniques.
Indeed. I'm anticipating that it will take at least half a year, if not more. Father's going to be with me, but with things as difficult as they are, part of me feels guilty for taking up his time.
I don't know about that. I think him agreeing to train with you shows how much faith he has in your potential. Besides, in a lot of ways, this might be the best time to do it.
That is very true. Reen, I would still like for you to come with me on my...
Laura, we talked about this, right? The best thing for the two of us is to walk our own paths. You only get one life. You've got to make the most of it. I'd only just hold you back if I were there with you. And you shouldn't be holding yourself back for someone else's sake. None of us should.
I suppose you're right. I know that by taking on this training, I'll obtain the strength I need to cleave through the uncertain days ahead. This is something I have to do. Not only to become stronger for me, but to continue being a worthy sword for you.
Thank you, Laura.
I won't tell you not to overexert yourself, as I certainly can't promise that I won't. Still, I want you to always bear in mind that no matter what happens, no matter where I am, my heart is always with you. Please never forget that.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, it's nice to hear that Victor is safe and sound, although we never heard anything about his duel with McBurn. That is something I don't really like, game.
Hey, Machias. Working hard or hard?
I'll stop you right there.
Yeah, it's kinda obvious.
Of course I'm hard at work. Just look at the size of this book. If I can't internalize as much of it as possible while I'm here, I'm doomed to failure from the start.
And this is one of your new textbooks? Man, Heimdall's political academies don't mess around, do they? You'll be the youngest person there, right?
Most likely. I'd normally need to have graduated from Thor's with a bit more experience under my belt to have gotten in. There are a few Thor's grads there already, though. They take some every year. And as you might imagine, the recent political upheaval has the place swarming with applicants this year. The entrance exam was hard enough on its own, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Can't say I envy you. Still, I know you're going to be just fine. You're so smart that you can handle any subject they throw at you. Growing up with your dad should give you a leg up on the politics, too.
Yeah, no pressure there. Honestly, there are times when I think diving into things head first like this is a giant mistake. Actually, Reen, I don't have to...
And now it's my turn to stop you. Yes, you do. As much as I'd like to have you around for another year, we finally have our paths laid out before us.
I know. Looking at it logically, that's what makes sense, but at the same time...
We've talked about this already. It's not easy, but going our separate ways for now is what's best for the both of us. Our lives only last for so long. You shouldn't try and spend the whole thing living for somebody else. Same goes for all of our other classmates.
Maybe so. Erebonia's political situation has been in a state of flux since the war ended, and it shows no signs of solidifying. I don't know what this means for my father and his role as Imperial Governor either. So, instead of idly waiting for the country to sort itself out, I think my best option is to study up on politics and guide it myself. Just don't burn yourself out while I'm away changing the world, okay? Good luck, Reen. With everything. Oh, and don't forget, Trista and Heimdall are really close, so I'll check in once in a while to make sure you're still alive. What do you say to, I don't know, once a month or so?
Should be doable. Especially if you don't mind me stopping by to see you in Heimdall when I can.
Please do.
Machias is a bit less clingy than Heliot at least. And yeah, it's kinda sad that Reen is going to be left alone at Thor's, but what can you do?
Emma? What are you doing?
Oh, hi there, Reen. Well, Dorothy and I decided that we're gonna put together one final collection of stories as a club. Since then, I've been working on a story for the students who will join the club next year.
Oh, that sounds neat. Wait, if Dorothy's involved...
The content is totally appropriate for children of all ages, I assure you. Admittedly, Dorothy's own story sounds like it'll have a few of her favorite literary elements, but all in moderation, she assured.
Not that I'm one to judge. So what kind of story is it?
It's supposed to be a fairy tale. I can't pretend it's 100% original, though. I borrowed some elements from a story I heard as a child. It's going to star a golden unicorn and a pure-hearted maiden, or at least that's the plan.
Sounds interesting. Can I give it a read when you're done? I'll still be here next year, so if I see any first years who seem like they'd enjoy it, I'll recommend it to them.
I have to confess, I'm a little embarrassed to let anyone see it, but the whole point of a story is to be read. I was talking it over with Celine, and she seems to agree that there's no real need to worry about Vita's safety. Even for a witch, she was always incredibly powerful, more than capable of looking after herself. So, if I were to stay here an extra year, then start searching for her after that...
Emma, we talked about this, right? As much as I'd like you to stick around, I think it's better to take care of the opportunities that won't wait. You only get one life to live. You have to make the most of it, instead of feeling obliged to hold back for someone else's sake. That's as true for me and all our other classmates as it is for you.
I suppose you're right. It's clear that something's still happening beneath the surface here in Erebonia. Something not even Vita had foreseen. And I'd bet anything it involves the Divine Knights and the mysteries surrounding them. I want to discover the truth behind those mysteries, and I want to see Vita again. That's how I feel deep down, and that's what I think should be my purpose going forward. But that's not the most important reason I need to head out on that journey. The most important thing to me in the world is still you, Reen. And I want to uncover the truth of the Divine Knights for your sake, just as much as for myself. After all, the legends surrounding them have been at the heart of so much of the trouble we've had to endure. That's why I'll get to the bottom of this and come back with the answers you deserve. Until then, stay safe and be well.
Thanks. I will. And the same goes for you. I'll be looking forward to the next time I see your smile.
Likewise.
Yeah, going after Vita won't be easy, especially after she had to fled back to Ouroboros after the last meeting with Osborne, who took over the plans. And I guess Grianos is dead. Well, Rufus kinda cut her or him in half, so I'm not sure what's up with that.
Something on your mind, Eustace?
For the first time in a long time, no. I'm just taking a short break. Looking over an endless sea of documents can be rather tiring on the eyes.
Oh, are those the tax reports you mentioned?
Ordinarily, this would be my father's work, but His Majesty has yet to decide his fate. Rufus hasn't so much as glanced in Bereahard's direction since he took his new job in Crossbell either. As such, the task falls to me.
Man, I knew everyone in our class had it pretty rough right now. You've got it roughest, no contest.
If my ego had its way, I would boast that filling in for my father is a simple and mundane task. But on top of the paperwork, I'll need to manage the provincial army and oversee the province as a whole. Then there's the matter of keeping the most stubborn of the nobility in check. I don't expect the first 6 months to be pleasant.
The fact that you're already thinking 6 months ahead is pretty impressive as it is. Standing in for Duke Alberea like that must take some real confidence. I know you'll manage, though.
That much is obvious. While it wouldn't be ideal, I'm sure that Arnal could ostensibly take care of most of my father's duties as well. I can't imagine the city would feel too major of an impact were I to spend an extra year.
Stop. As much as I'd like that, it's not what's best for either of us. Or Bereahard. The best thing we could do now is go our separate ways, both for the greater good and for growing as people and as nobles. We only get one life, one shot at this. We might as well try to make the most of the time we have, right? The same holds true for all of our other classmates, too.
Perhaps you're right. Given that my father and brother are in no position to do so, I'm currently the only one who can run Bereahard in the long term. I'm just as certain of that as ever, and now I feel the weight of responsibility even more keenly. As I've told you before, you've always struck me as a danger to yourself. It seems all too likely to me that people will continue to use you for their personal gain until there's nothing left of you. Even so, I hope you can show me that you can take care of yourself, even while I'm far away. If your pride as a noble never falters, and you can maintain faith in yourself, however, that shouldn't be an issue.
Thanks, Eustace. I won't forget that.
See that you don't.
Man, I can't even imagine having so much responsibility at such a young age. Especially having to run your whole family and having to contest with the other nobles.
Are those seeds you got there?
Yep, Adel gave them to me. They all came from the plants we grew in the gardening club. I'm just looking at what kinds there are here.
Really? That's really nice of her. It's kind of like you can take everything you've achieved over the past year with you.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to join a club until Adel found me relaxing and invited me. But I guess it wasn't so bad.
Don't you worry. I'll be sure to check on the gardening club every once in a while just to see how things are going. It would be a shame if all the plants you've spent so long looking after were to wither and die.
It doesn't matter. Even if they do, they'll eventually bloom again somewhere else. Kind of like us.
When you put it that way, I suppose you're right. Fee, what's wrong?
I think you could do with some more watering too. Though that probably goes for both of us. I still don't know whether or not I'm doing the right thing. But it doesn't feel right abandoning a member of my family like this. Maybe I should stay with you for at least...
Fee, we talked about this, right? I hate to say it, but going our separate ways is best for the both of us right now. You only get one life, so I want you to make the most of it. Don't hold yourself back for my sake or anyone else's. The same holds true for all of our other classmates, too.
I guess. I want to find out where Zeno and Leah went. The rest of the Corps, too. And I still want to find out what they meant by bring back the boss. No, not want to. Need to.
I don't want you to put yourself in any more danger than you have to, but I know how much your family means to you. So, more than anything else, I want you to do what you feel you need to. Don't worry about me. I'll be right here waiting for you to come back when you're done.
You better. Once I find them all, I'll introduce you. Because of all my new family members, you're the most special to me.
Yeah, that'll go over really well with your family of Jaegers. Well, whatever. Bring it on.
Rin, you're so dead. You don't even know it. Well, I guess if they bring back the boss, they can bring back Rin afterwards.
Are you finishing up your painting, guys?
Yeah, this is my last one. I want to make sure I'm completely satisfied with it before declaring it finished.
That's understandable. You're going to keep painting once you're back at home, though, right?
Well, I don't know how much time I'll have to set aside for it, but I intend to keep working on it, bit by bit. There's growing reason for concern in Calvert to the east of the Highlands. But all in all, things are more peaceful now than they were. I should be able to focus on painting my magnum opus.
Oh, is it going to be of Nord? If anyone can make a masterpiece of the Highlands, it'd be you.
That wouldn't be such a bad idea. But actually, I was intending to paint a picture of the Academy, its students, and the courageous.
You mean...
Now you're getting it. I want to capture the day we liberated the Academy. And once I've finished it, I fully intend to return to Erebonia with it in hand. What better way to forever memorialize this place as my second homeland?
Man, you really are amazing.
To tell you the truth, I still have my doubts about whether the path I'm taking is the right one. I do fear for Nord, now that this new threat has reared its head. But it doesn't sit right with me to leave you here all on your own.
Gaius, we talked about this, right? The best thing now is for the two of us to go our own ways and do what's best for us as individuals. You only get one life. You've got to make the most of it instead of feeling obliged to hold back for someone else's sake. That goes for everyone here, not just us.
Yeah, you're right. Right now, each of us has something we must do for ourselves. Our wings ride with the wind, and the wind is guided by those wings. But please, never forget that I'm always there for you if you need me. As sure as the wind that protects us, I'll always be watching over you. And once you're ready to take flight, I will return and grant you my strength once again.
Thanks, Gaius. That means a lot. And all this goes both ways, you got it? If anything happens in Nord, I'm always ready to rush by your side. I can get there pretty quickly with the spirit path too, thankfully.
Thanks, Reen.
Let's just hope that Osborne doesn't decide to take over North too. That would be kinda awkward.
What's up, Milliam?
Oh, hey, Reen. It's nothing. I just feel kinda down.
Down?
Yeah. I was just thinking about how everyone was at dinner time. Sharon's food was really nice, and we all seemed like we were having a good time. But I don't know. It was weird, like we were all upset but didn't want to let it show. It's been bugging me.
Oh, so that's why. You really have grown so much these past few months. And not just mentally. I think you've gotten a little taller too.
Maybe. About 2 rage or so? Judging by my specs, I'm not gonna get much taller than this, though. I'm Mini Milliam forever and ever. But you never know. Maybe I'll grow up to have boobies so big, I can use them as a shelf like Emma's.
You know, there's one thing I've been meaning to ask. It was only when I was working with Altina over in Crossbell that it finally clicked, but the two of you were made artificially, weren't you?
Yep. But it's not like we're dolls or anything. We're not that different from you guys. I think the only real difference is that we weren't born from a mother the way normal people are. Oh, but I was adjusted to be able to link with Lammy too, so there's that.
Just what kind of place is the Black Workshop supposed to be? You can't answer that, right?
Nope. I think everything I knew about the place was wiped from my memory when I was sold off. My first real memory is waking up 5 years ago in Gramps' care. That was about when I first met Claire and Lecter too.
Really? I did have a feeling that might be the case, but I guess this settles it. Lecter said there's another artificial child over in Crossbell, too.
So the first time I played this game, I was like, who is he talking? And then I was like, oh, yeah, right. Lecter told you that?
Jump attack!
Can you not randomly tackle people like that? Pretty sure I've told you this before.
It's your fault for giving me that puppy dog look that said, I need a hug in the first place. I'm kind of worried about you now. You think I should ask Gramps to let me stay here for another year? I mean, I didn't even get to go to Crossbell with you like I wanted, so it's only fair.
That's...
Sounds like you're pretty friendly with her now that it's all said and done, too. Haltina and Sammy are pretty tough, but me and Lammy are just as strong, too, you know. Oh, is this that jealousy thing you guys are always talking about? Am I like a jealous housewife?
I appreciate your concern, but I'll be okay. Don't worry. Even if I don't have you and Lammy around, I do have Valimar, remember?
Oh, that's true. You totally didn't answer my question, though.
Anyway, you've got your own work to take care of, don't you? And be sure to keep in touch. I'll always be right there when you need me, okay?
Righto, I promise. That goes double for you, mister. If you need me to bust you out of a jam, just say the word.
Well, if I had to choose between Altina and you, Millium, I would go with you. But that will probably change in Trails of Cold Steel 3, we will have to see. And yeah, her being an artificial human isn't a big surprise, after we heard that she can't cry in a few previous bonding events. And we also saw her in a giant tube at the end of the ending a few episodes ago.
Something on your mind, instructor?
You could say that. I've been mulling over how things are gonna be come next month, but all this soul searching's giving me a headache.
Well, it'll probably feel strange being back with the guild for the first time in 2 years. But I'd bet they'll be glad to have you back. Things are probably going to be rough over there, even with you taking up the bracer life again.
No doubts there. I can already see plenty of traveling abroad in my future after what happened over in Crossbow. And I imagine it'll keep getting harder and harder for us bracers to operate here, too. What's with that sad puppy look? There's no reason for you to feel ashamed of what you've chosen to do. I'm proud to have a student like you who can stand up and make the tough choices life thrusts on us.
Thanks, instructor. I'll try to just grin and bear it for now.
Attaboy. Sticking it out through the hard times with a smile will put you on the fast track to becoming a great man. Just make sure you don't try to shoulder too much. All that'll do is turn you into a jaded grump. Everything in moderation, okay?
Thanks? What's this for?
Just a little something to keep you motivated. There's still a part of me that wants to drag you along with me and sign you up with the guild. But I think it's best to let you mature and decide what you want to do in life first. So go out there and grow up to be a real heartthrob. I'll be waiting, as promised. Hey, time out, lover boy. I'm pretty sure I told you that if you want to move up to the main course, you'll have to work for it.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. You think you can overlook it just this once? There may be days when remembering how I feel right now is what keeps the fire burning in me until we can meet again.
You're a sly one, Schwarzer. All right, I'll let you off this time. But no more freebies.
Man, even Sarah is leaving. Which homeroom will Rin join then? The noble course with Patrick and the others? That would be kinda weird. Well, that was everyone in the dormitory, so let's return there. The one weird thing about those bonding events and that last events that we saw is the Millium one, because it's basically part of the main story and it's locked behind her final bonding event. So if you didn't see it, you don't get to even hear about it. Well, you can figure it out throughout the game anyway.
Oh, there you are. You look bored, Celine.
I guess I am. My work's done at this point. I feel like I aged a few decades as soon as the war came to an end.
Come on now.
Feels a bit strange to be saying it after the fact, but you fought pretty well over in Crossbell. You've really mastered piloting Valimar.
I'd like to think so anyway. I feel like I could pull off just about anything with him now. And to think, I couldn't do half as much with him when I was first starting out.
You do realize you just admitted you were totally useless, right? I wonder if you're gonna be okay without us, you know? Valimar must have drawn the short straw to end up with a budding awakener like you.
Thanks for worrying about me all the time, Celine.
Excuse me, what makes you think I was worried about you?
Just about everything. From what I can tell, you've always worried about me. Back in the beginning, when I didn't know anything about piloting, you were always there to guide me through our battles. I doubt I would have ever come this far if you didn't have my back. So, thank you. For all of it.
Why do you always have to be like this? There are parts of the legends passed down in the clan that not even Emma and I know about. But just bear this one thing in mind. Divine Knights have incredible power, and they can become devils just as easily as they can become gods.
Don't worry, I know. And I won't forget. Anyone in my position needs to know the difference between right and wrong. I'm well aware of that.
That's fine then. Anyway, good luck, I guess. If you really need it, I can always come and help out.
Yeah, we saw that with the Vermilion Knight. And now I should have all of the Class 7 members, all of their character notes. We do still need a few more people like Elise, Alfin, and the others in the other classes. Let's talk to Sharon before I end this episode.
Oh, good evening, Master Reen. I thought you had already retired for the evening. How would you like for me to put together some supper?
I appreciate the offer, but I think I've eaten more than I should have as it is. Your cooking really is delicious, Sharon. I was starting to miss it after not having it for so long.
It was my pleasure to cook for all of you again, so I pulled out all the stops with this one. Seeing all of you happily indulging my handiwork always makes every second of preparation worth it. Is something the matter, Master Reen?
Oh, I was just thinking about how you haven't changed a bit. I'm not sure it's my place to ask, but is everything alright over at Ouroboros? I can't help but wonder after how things turned out. Vita seems really shocked.
I'm afraid I haven't a clue. No word of what's been happening in the society has reached my ears since then. I have no idea where the second Anguis is now. Nor do I know what happened regarding the Phantasmal Blaze plan after the Chancellor declared he was taking it over. And quite frankly, none of it is my concern. The answers won't change who I am, and it won't suddenly cause me to shift priorities. I am and always will be a proud maid of the Reinford family. Not because of the freedom we enforcers are granted, but because that is simply who I am. Much like how you being the Ashen Chevalier doesn't change how you are also a proud member of Class 7.
I suppose you're right.
And no matter what happens to you in the future, never lose sight of who you really are. It's almost time for me to return to Ruhr. But should you ever need me again, I will gladly rush to your side.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm glad you can stay here for a while longer.
I hope she never changes, and I hope we don't end up fighting her in Cold Steel 3. That would be kinda sad. Is there an event with Crow's Room? I forget.
You are all going to be in for some tough times ahead. I can't go any farther now. But you can. So keep going forward.
Crow's final words changed our path forever. No. It's more like they gave us the encouragement we needed to step onto the right one. We only get one life, and we're the only ones who can live it. Thanks, Crow. I might not be leaving the Academy to pursue some noble goal like the others are, but I'll do what I can here. Although, if I have to keep taking time off for trips like that one to Crossbell, I can kiss my attendants goodbye. Well, I can try to make it so I'll never be in danger of repeating a year. Unlike a certain someone.
And with that, I think it is time to end this episode. How will we be able to help out Tova in their upcoming free day? Find out next time on Let's Play The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until then, have a good one.